Why do Paris and London, two of the world's most iconic cities, struggle with rundown and outdated infrastructure, whilst China can boast state-of-the-art and clean streets? I headed back to Europe after 3 years living in China, and what I saw was depressing. Why is China leading with urban development whilst Europe is struggling with social issues? Why is it that many young people like myself and friends of mine are now wishing to leave the West and flock to Asia, and in my case, China? In this video, I'm going to break down some of the key reasons why young people like myself are feeling a little bit disillusioned. First, let's talk about street cleanliness. Now, Paris, despite being romanticized as some beautiful city in Europe, and indeed in the world, struggles with something as simple as street cleanliness. As I strolled through pretty much every tourist area other than Champs-Élysées, there was graffiti everywhere and the whole place just felt a little bit neglected. London, despite being a global financial hub, seemed to struggle with similar issues, although not quite as bad as Paris. It is worth mentioning that Rome, just a few hundred miles away, was beautiful, and in fact, I don't think I saw a single item of litter on the streets the whole time that I was there. Why is it that Rome was beautiful whilst Paris and London were a little bit dirty? What's with that? Public transport was also not as clean or as efficient as you might expect from world-leading cities. In London, as you are all probably aware by now, the Underground is a pretty grim and depressing place to be. Sure, everyone defends London Underground and its lack of cleanliness and efficiency and how run down it is by saying, oh, it's because it's so old, it's one of the oldest undergrounds in the world, or the oldest underground in the world. Well, is that a good enough reason for it to be outdated, poorly maintained and dirty? Is that a good enough excuse? I mean, how old is the Moscow subway? I don't know. Someone tell me in the comments below, but I bet the Moscow subway isn't as dirty or outdated and run down as London or Paris, for example. Why does it being old stop it from being well maintained? In contrast, subway systems in China's tier 1 and tier 2 cities are impeccably clean. In fact, probably all across Asia. I mean, I haven't visited Tokyo myself yet, but from what I've told and from what I've been told and from what I've seen, it's also impeccably clean. Why are the subway systems in cities in East Asia so impeccably clean, yet ours in Europe are so dirty and run down? In fact, the subway systems in places like Shanghai are so impeccably clean that when you make a video about how clean and how safe they are, people say that it's paid propaganda and that, you know, the government have just come and cleaned it ready for this YouTube video and everyone on there is a paid actor and stuff like that. Do you see how ridiculous that sounds? In general, the streets in East Asia are well maintained, they're spotless, there's no litter or graffiti to be found anywhere, and it's just an all-round nice environment and therefore nice place to live. Now, I won't go into detail too much about the cost of living between Europe and China because I have a separate video coming on that, because when I was at home in the UK, I actually went to a supermarket and did a food shop, just a normal casual food shop, and I calculated how much everyday items cost there as opposed to everyday items in China. But in Europe and specifically the UK, the cost of living and the prices for everyday items like food, it's a little bit ridiculous right now. Sure, the wages in China and the UK are different, but if you were to extrapolate the data of the cost of living compared as a ratio to your wages in China or your wages in the UK, or pretty much anywhere else in the world, I'm pretty sure that the UK would probably be nearer the bottom of the pile. Do you agree? Most young people in the UK these days will never own a home, just simply forget about it. Even just renting in places like London is very, very difficult, with a one-bed studio apartment running up as, well, minimum probably $1,500. These are the prices for something as simple as a one-bed apartment in the capital city, yet the starting salaries in many industries, in many top industries, are appallingly bad. In fact, I saw a tweet the other day about the starting salary for a UK nuclear engineer, and it said that the starting salary was £22,000, or around $27,000. Now, I did not believe this, okay? I thought it was crap. So I went and did my own research, and I went onto the government website, the UK government website, Prospects. It's a great website for recent graduates and students to do some research about salaries for careers and that sort of thing. And it turns out that that information was correct. The starting salary for a UK nuclear engineer is $27,000. So I did some more research, and it turns out that this isn't uncommon in the UK, and that starting salaries for those kinds of industries are pretty much all the same, around the same level. Appallingly bad. In fact, I just saw another tweet from someone in America comparing the starting salary for a UK lawyer and comparing it to how much you would earn as a toilet cleaner in a fast food restaurant in the US. The toilet cleaner earned more. Next, let's discuss technological innovation and integration, because that's the sort of thing that makes a city feel modern, right? When you see a sci-fi movie set in the future, you think, flying cars, floating trains, drone delivery, digital payments. Well, in Paris, I was carrying around coins in my pocket. Now, I hadn't seen a coin for 3 years. I went into the shop and paid 12 euros for an umbrella, and the guy gave me my change, and obviously it was coins. And for a second, I was genuinely confused what the guy was handing me. In fact, in the UK, I went to the train station to catch a train, not a fast train, not a floating maglev train like they have in Shanghai and other parts of the world, just a normal 100 miles per hour train. I was taking a trip that went 45 minutes up the road. It cost me £50. But at least it seems that trains in the UK have modernised in recent years whilst I've been away, because the last time I was in the UK, some of the trains didn't even have door handles on the inside. You had to climb out the window to open the door of the train. And this wasn't a bug. This was a feature. This was how the trains were designed, and they were still in operation just a couple of years ago. Of course, we did plan on having high-speed rail in the UK. I think proposals were put forward around 2001, but of course it never materialised. We spent billions and billions and billions of pounds on reviewing the plans and making new plans, and then reviewing those plans, and then making yet more plans, yet we did nothing about it. And in that time, China has built something like 45,000 kilometers of high-speed track. Paris Metro, admittedly, the stations are beautiful pieces of art, right? But they really did smell a little bit. In China, and of course Asia in general, the experience is very, very different. The countries in East Asia have embraced cutting-edge technology and have implemented it into their rail systems, and it's actually a very pleasant experience travelling by train. High-speed trains connect pretty much all major cities. They're fast, they're efficient, they're safe, they're clean. They feature the latest technology for paying. For example, they have facial recognition, so you can just scan your face when you pay. I get fast Wi-Fi on the trains. I get 5G connectivity on my phone. In fact, I'm traveling in tiny cities in China, in really rural areas. I look down at my phone and I'm a little bit shocked because it says 5G in the top right hand side corner. Now, why can't we have nice things like that in Europe and in the UK? Do we need to talk about safety? Do people in the West still believe that China is some dangerous country where it's really, really unsafe to walk the streets at night? I feel like whenever I make a video saying about how safe China is as a country, and that you can walk the streets at night, and girls can walk the streets at night without fear of being robbed or worse happening to them, whenever I say that in a video, or I see someone else say that in a video, the comment section is just full of people who have never visited China before, saying that it's wrong, it's propaganda, it's false, China is a very dangerous country. Come on. Paris, I truly did not feel safe setting foot outside after 10 o'clock at night, and I've never actually felt that way before whilst living in Asia. In fact, whenever I say these things in a video, people say that, if they actually come around to the idea that China is safe, they say, it's because of the differences in governing styles, and we could never have that in the UK because we're a democracy and we're so free. Well, is that freedom? Not being able to go out at night after 10 o'clock in some cities, some places, having to avoid some places. Really, is that freedom? Also, where are the governing differences between Japan and the West, or South Korea and the West? those places have democracies too, you know. Japan is still a very, very safe place. South Korea is still a very, very safe place. You can walk the streets at night over there. You're telling me that those places can be clean and safe and nice and have all those positives too. But if it's China, it's, you know, it's not allowed. It's a problem. It's propaganda. Whilst these iconic cities in Europe unfortunately grapple with issues like social issues, outdated infrastructure, unsafe streets, life in China is, it's far ahead. The urban environment is just modern, clean, safe, and for me, it's ahead in many, many different ways. In fact, London and Paris don't even come close to Shanghai. And there's no way, if I was given the choice of living in London, Paris, or Shanghai, that I would choose London or Paris. It's just, there's just no way. It's just an easy decision any day of the week. So what do you think about my comparison? Try not to forget, this is just a personal opinion. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings and you take it personally that I said that London is not a nice place to live and the underground is dirty and depressing. It's not paid propaganda. It's not me saying falsities or anything like that. Just my personal opinion. So drop yours in the comments below and let's have a serious discussion. If you found this comparison insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next video.